flight when they come to town. That's what everybody talks about. When these practices with the other teams, do they make too much about that if the teams get laid out?
Now, last year they had a pretty good Donnie vote with the Giants, I remember. And I can remember that Kevin Stefanski was pretty upset about it. And I think that both coaches, but JT, you can have all the meetings and the telephone calls you want between coaches. And Kevin's got a really good relationship with Nick Sirianni and Joe Judge, like he had last year with the Giants. But guys are the guys, right? I mean, if it gets heated like that, there is a sense of camaraderie. And if you see a teammate get a cheap shot against him, maybe you want to go in and help out and answer that with an altercation. So I hope not, because that would be really bad to see a guy get hurt because of that.
Right. What has stood out for you, Jimmy? Year number 24, and again, I went over and saw my old buddy Gerard Cherry, who's taking over on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's right.
Nathan Zergura, who's going to be up in the booth with you, taking over for Doug Deacon. Every time there was a penalty, we heard Deacon while you were doing the play ball. There they go. Yeah. So what has stood out in this training camp for you?
I think, and it really jumped out at me on Friday night, how deep they are. I mean, they really, for a team that didn't draft until the third round, off of one game, which was Friday night in Jacksonville, boy, the draft looked tremendous. I mean, the kid Emerson had a great play. The defensive back, M.J. Emerson, amazing play. Not only that play, but he made a couple of other really good plays in the game. Jerome Ford, the running back, 5th round, I mean, out of Cincinnati. Before that, he played at Alabama. I mean, all of a sudden, it gives you pause to say, they really have too many running backs right now. They have 4 that are in there that can really play. And with a guy like Ford, you just say, there's no way you're going to get him on the practice squad, so you're going to have to keep him. What do you do? I mean, and I know Kareem Hunt, Kareem Hunt has been a little agitated early in camp. So I think all of that, their depth right now looks really good. And as JT mentioned, their depth over on the defensive side, their secondary right now really could be the best in the NFL. I really think it could be the best in the NFL. Their safeties, they're loaded at safety now. Delpit's back and really playing well. Ronnie Harrison is back. John Johnson III is kind of going to be the lead guy there. The corners look good with Newsom and Ward. A.J. Green, the kid they picked up a couple of years ago as an undrafted free agent from Oklahoma State. Now you throw Emerson in there. But there are some other kids that are really playing very, very well. There will be some guys that won't make this team that will make others.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. They'll get cut. Somebody will pick. They're waiting to see which guys from the secondary get cut from the Browns. What about the D tackles? That was the supposed weakness of this defense coming into camp. I know it's early still, but what have you seen so far there? Has Elliott looked better than he has in the past? Is Winfrey, the rookie, stepped up? What about Tommy Togiai from Ohio State?
All 3 guys you mentioned, I thought showed up well on Friday night. Elliott, this is a big year for him. This is his 3rd year, and they've kind of paved the way like they were doing with Nick Harris. It was Nick Harris's 3rd year. Okay, it's time now that you go in and be the starting center. The same is true for Elliott. Came on a little bit at the end of the year last year when they were coming down the stretch and they had injuries and COVID issues, and he played better. But this is a big year for him, kind of a prove-it year for him, and he's done very, very well so far. We'll see what happens when it's for real. Togiai is a guy that I think continues to really get better and better, and they really like him a great deal. Winfrey played very well the other night. I know they were thrilled with him. He gave them something that they're really looking for. Inside pressure. Get pressure on the quarterback from the inside. Don't rely always on Garrett and Clowney or having to move Clowney inside. It will be interesting to see now Taven Bryan. He'll be number 99, the guy they brought over from Jacksonville, former first-round draft choice out of Florida. That didn't pan out in Jacksonville for whatever reason, and they're hoping new scenery, new location, that he'll be okay here. So those are the things I think right now, Kenny, they released Sheldon Day today because of injury. So I think right now they're pretty happy with what they have there and would like to develop their own players rather than having to go out and bring in somebody else. It's expensive, and they'd like to develop their own, get these guys on rookie contracts that really they have more control for a number of years.
Sounds like our baseball team, basically.
Yeah, right.
I mean, when you think about
that's a good model.
It's working out well for them. Right?
They're
in first place.
It worked for the basketball team, too. Maybe we're on to something.
A youth movement with all 3 teams in town.
Jimmy, what about Owusu Poromoa? I know you're really high on him.
He's a great player. Well, it allows them, the key for that is it allows them to play two linebackers, okay, with his speed and Jacob Phillips. That will be the key thing. If they go to three linebackers, it would be Anthony Walker, and it would be J.O.K., and it would either be Phillips going in there or Taki Taki. Okay? Taki Taki can still play very well in that
They're
position.
all fast, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really different. Walker is probably the most kind of veteran guy, the old style linebacker. The other guys really go side to side. JOK, I had a great talk with him, JT, about a week ago when camp started, and I said, your speed is really unbelievable. And he said, my speed actually hurt me last year. Really? I ran past him. Okay. And he has to learn to kind of...
The old breakdown.
Pump the brakes a little bit, and you're so fast that sometimes you're running by plays. But I think last year, JT, he played a lot on his athleticism, which is off the charts, and he knows a little bit more now. Okay. Smart kid, really good player. I think just a tremendous upside for him.
Jimmy, you know what gets me this year in camp, as opposed to last year? The expectations last year. People were talking, they're throwing around names like Super Bowl, this and that. This year, there's a different vibe. How would you tell the fans how they should feel about this team?
Well, I think that they felt last year, I think that they left with a bad taste in their mouth. They left probably a good season out on the table, okay? And yes, it was injury, and yes, we were in COVID, but still, there were a lot of winnable games that just slipped off the hook for one reason or another. Ineffective quarterback play, the offense not being what we thought it was going to be, the OBJ, soap opera that went on really took a toll on the team. The defense early in the season really not knowing each other because there were so many new guys. I think this year you can't let that happen. You just have to win the game. Style points are not going to probably be important. And really, how many balls a guy gets in a particular game, not that important. You have to play the way Nick Chubb thinks and plays. Right. Nick Chubb doesn't care about rushing titles. He doesn't care about how many touchdowns he gets. He cares about what that scoreboard says and that his side has more of a number than the other team. And that's the way they need to think going into the season.
And Jimmy, safe to say, and we'll let you go, that if indeed Watson, we don't know yet as the time of this interview, right? We're waiting to see. Sure. But if it's indefinite out for the year with Brissett, different team than what with Watson. Yeah. Like you'd expect Watson to win you games, make plays, whereas Brissett, it's like manage the game, don't lose it, and rely on your defense. Is that fair?
Absolutely, Kenny. I would go back to Stefanski's first year, okay, and probably the first 8 games of that season. Remember, they got off to a really fast start. They lost the opener to Baltimore, but then they got on a roll. They won like 4 in a row. And watch how they did it. Chubb, Hunt. Good offensive line. Now, that offensive line, as we spoke about earlier, it's got to be healthy and intact. Manage the game like you said. Remember, Mayfield was only throwing about 17 or 18 times early in that year, okay? It was in the second half of the season when they kind of opened it up a little bit more. This defense is better than that defense when they made the playoffs. So I think that's what it's going to be. I mean, control the game, run the football, passing game probably, take your shots. But it's probably going to be, let's move the chains with it, take what we can get, control the game that way. We'll kick well with this kid, hopefully, Cade York. I think all signs are it will be sound in that part. But they'll be a little bit more able to ride that defense than they were a couple of years ago.
Hey, last thing I forgot, who's the punter?
The punter is, right now, there's Corey Bajorquez. Now, Bajorquez came into the league. He's a minister in his off time. But he came into the league in New England. He's a left-footed punter. Okay. And, of course, New England, Bill Belichick loves left-footed punters. So he was there. Then he went to Buffalo. Then he went to Green Bay. Now he's come to Cleveland. So he's got the cold weather thing down. He'll be the guy right now that we need.
All right. And he's the holder as well?
He is the holder, which is, I will point out to you that he was not a great holder in other stops. So they've really worked on him doing that. And Mike Prefer's been working him. They took a big loss last week, losing the return guy, Jakeem Grant. The Browns have been really below average in return. I mean, they really have. Do you realize Travis Benjamin's the last guy that returned a kick for a touchdown? And they have gone to kind of this very, very conservative approach of just catching the ball. We're just going to catch it. It's moreover than trying to return it, and you got to get more out of that. Then they thought they had that with Grant. So we'll be back with the same cast of characters back there. Ernest Johnson, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Delpit's in a fight to make the team. Not Delpit, I'm sorry. The little kid, number 25, Felton.
Okay, yeah.
He's in a little bit of a fight to make the team right now to get a spot. He gets hurt by a guy like Jerome Ford being so good catching the football. So the return game would probably be something that they're really, may struggle with a little bit and be as conservative as they have been the last couple of years.
Well, let's hope that, as well as the wide receivers, as a unit, step up with Bell, the rookie who they loved in the third round. Peoples-Jones takes a step up as the number 2 right now behind Cooper, and then we'll see who else rises up out of that room as well. Jimmy, we always appreciate the time you make for us on WHBC. Have a great season.
And you guys, too, which kicks off this weekend, right?
2 games Thursday night. We've got Perry hosting Central, and then Friday we kick off with Cincinnati Moeller at Massillon in front of 18,000 crazy.
All right, now Jerry Faust is still not at Moeller.
He might be hanging around Notre Dame. Right?
Jimmy, thanks so much.
Got it.
Have a great year. We appreciate the time. We'll talk to Jimmy here or there throughout the season. What we'll do right now is we'll get a break here on the Kenny and JT show. Then we'll come back with more live from Browns training camp on WHBC.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
awesome, Jimmy. Thanks
You
so
guys
much.
Great year, man.
You
Thank
too.
you.
I'll be listening.
Did you take some photos too? Thank